Okay.
All right, guys, welcome back. So we've got our manifold mounted, super easy, 4 bolt or screws just in. But what we're going to do now is we're waiting on some parts yet, so we're kind of figuring out what we can and can't do. We made a list of what we needed. We ordered that from Kevin's going to order it from Thornback Brothers. We got to thank those guys for getting what we had as fast as we could over here, and hopefully they'll be able to get the rest of us over here to us because we're going to need some fittings and whatnot. The nice thing is we're here in Chicago area, so when we order from them, we can get stuff fairly quick. Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to try to get the switch box working. We want something to work. So we're going to do a quick little wiring thing. Now, there's lots of different ways to do your wiring. You can sit here, you can solder all these ends. That's great if you're going to show it. We're not going to show this. And the other thing is we want to be make it accessible that if we're on the side of the road and we have an issue, we can take care of it. All right. So basically all we're going to do right now is I'm going to take and I twisted the 2 ground wires together. And what on this valve, it doesn't really matter. Like SMC valves, I know they've got red and black wires. I don't really think it matters as long as you hook it up with a positive and a ground. It's going to work. It doesn't have to be directional or whatever. So we're going to take, and basically all I'm doing is, since all the wires are black, I'm just taking them all on the same side. I'm going to hook them up like this. I'm going to grab a barrel connector, and we're just going to kind of make a chain for our ground, because these are all going to go to chassis ground. And with these barrel connectors, I always crimp them a couple times. Now the nice thing about using the barrel connectors is, like I was telling Kevin, all right, so we're sitting at a show or something, and God forbid it happens. It happens to all vehicles like this, because you got to think, we're modifying our vehicle, so at some point you're going to have problems. And this is what I don't understand about some of the airlift ones, because I don't know how you go about and fix it. Like I was just telling Kevin, all right, so we're sitting at a show. You can't air the back up. What are you going to do? Call a tow truck? Fuck no. We're going to pull the power off of here. We're going to pull our wire off, and we're going to hook it to this wire and pop the freaking solenoid and get it to go up. Super simple. Maybe even have a length of cable in the car in your duct bin or whatever the fuck you want to call it here. Pull it out, pull this out, twist it, hook it to that, boom, you're up, gone. You want to do that because, and this is why when I teach people how to bag their vehicles, I usually like to have them here like Kevin, so that they can see exactly what we're doing. And that way you can be on the side of the road and you have an issue, you can fix it, because you can't just call anybody to fix these things. You know, you're going to end up on the side of the road in the middle of the night, and if one of your buddies can't answer the phone, if he's the one that, see, that's why you always gotta have extra of those. You know, you want to have access to somebody that knows if you don't know, because you know otherwise you're spending whatever it costs for a freaking tow, or waking your buddy up like Ray when you blow up the motor in your XB, and he's got to come out and save your ass. Okay, we'll do that one later. I guess I'm going to have to cut that one wire again. So we're going to keep going. Like I said, this is just for the grounds. Our grounds are then, we're going to, put some wire to each of these. These will all get connected together. And I'm going to just take it off of the chassis ground up here. Then the fun part comes when you're on the other end and you got to do the, I always pull them to make sure. Let's strip this one again. So it's really simple. You know, a lot of the wiring in a car is very simple because all it is a power and a ground. You know, we're only dealing with 12 volts too. So if you were doing this live, it's not even going to hurt. You know, it might give you a little bit of a tingling sensation, but you don't end up hurting yourself like you are working on a house.
Or you disconnect the ground like you're supposed to, but
Yeah. I remember that. Whenever you're working with stuff, always disconnect the ground first. You know how much of a pain in the ass that is sometimes? All right, so now we got that in. I've grabbed this. When you do this, always make sure that when you're running a power and a ground, that you use the same gauge wire. If not, you can have all kinds of issues. I don't know any offhand, but I've had some weird, you'll get motor noises and all kinds of crap. I can probably run these into another splice, but it's going to be a little easier if you're sitting on the side of the road. And you can find it a little easier. And I'm sure there's guys out there watching the video. Well, I just don't break down. Yeah, well, okay, how does that work? And if you've had any issues with your airlift setup, let me know, because I want to know what the hell you do to fix it, because I think your hands are tied on those.
I don't think you can do anything. I think if that brain craps out, I think you're basically stranded.
Yeah.
That's the whole con of digital air management.
I think it's probably not going to happen very often.
No, but if it does, you're up the creek.
And with these valves, these valves, the nice thing about it is you're going to get shit in them. And that, I'm sure that's going to happen too. Your tank's rusting. You got a piece of Teflon that went through the system or whatnot. I don't know what that would do with the manifolds in those setups. And here, it's really easy. We come in here, we take these 4 bolts out, we pull it apart, clean the shit out, put it back together. Because all that's in these is basically, this is a solenoid, there's a magnet or something in there that comes down, and then there's a diaphragm which is pushed down by the lever. Some of them are a little different than others. Some just, I know there is some that are magnet and the diaphragm has a magnet in it, and they just use it, this creates a magnetic pole and it sucks that up and it works. I haven't had these ones apart. These are like the ones I bought online, but I myself prefer the SMCs just because I know that you can buy parts to fix the SMCs. I'm sure other valves do too, but I don't know. Oh, facts. Maybe we should have bought another thing of wire for them.
I said, should we buy 2? And you're like, no, one's going to do it. I'm like, okay.
Always buy extra.
Whatever, Walmart's not that far.
No, it's not. Maybe they'll fill Hot Wheels for us while we're gone.
Maybe.
All right, so we've got that. And the ground side is really easy. And we will clean this up, I promise. I always try to take care of my customers a little better than I do mine. Especially when they're nice enough to hold the camera. All right, so we're going to clean this up here a little bit. Move these out of the way. All right, so there's that. Pull these under. That one there. And then we're just going to pull these over this way. I'll go back and I will zip tie these all together and make it all nice and pretty. But the cool part is, like what David was saying, go ahead and give your shout out, Kevin.
Oh yeah, big shout out to David from the St. Louis Sunset chapter for hooking me up for a deal on these on the manifold.
All right, so
the valves.
We got that all kind of tucked over here now. All right, and then we'll run our wires up. We'll hook it to our ground up there. We'll just run a ground ring like that. We'll put it in there.
Would you do it off of the existing ground that we had for a subwoofer, or is that not a good idea?
You can do it. It doesn't really matter. Your grounds are all going to the same anyway, so it doesn't matter if you've got another ground going to it or not, because it's all connected to the same ground. Sometimes when you're doing it with power wires, that's where you'll get your motor noise by going over the top of a wire or whatnot. So the grounds really shouldn't matter unless your bolt's too short or whatever. But that's pretty much that for now. We got to figure out how to cut some of these tubes, though. We're going to have to use a cutoff tool until we get to Sears and get that really cool.
You even have a Sears near us?
Oh, shit, there is one in Plano. Doesn't matter. They're probably closed anyway. Anyway, we've got that. So now basically our ground on the wire on the valves are done. Now basically all we got to do is I'll hook that ground up. It's real easy. Like I said, you pull a bolt out, put it in there. I won't bore you with that. Then we're going to go to the other end, which has the switch box on it, and then all your wires from the switch box are going to come back to here, and that's going to be your positives on each side of this. You'll get power from your switch box. There'll be a power and a ground on that. That power goes to the battery and pulls straight from the battery, unless you want it to shut off when you turn the vehicle off. I don't like them that way because I'm the type of guy that gets in my car and I do know people that do. If that's the case, you just find a switch power under the dash and hook it to that. But we will be doing that for our air compressors, so that's part of the reason why I don't do that. But nice thing about doing that with your air compressor is you get in the car, you don't have another switch you got to turn on. As soon as you turn that key on, your compressors kick on. If you got a remote start, you hit the remote start, your compressors kick on as soon as the motor kicks on. It's really nice. I do that on mine. You know, everybody gets the remote start so they get in a nice warm vehicle. I do it because I need air. So anyway, we're going to finish this up. I'm going to clean it up a little bit. We'll give you a few shots of that, and then we're going to start on the other end.